All right. Welcome in. This is
Episode 12?
episode 12.
We're running?
Yeah, so how we doing?
Tired.
Tired?
I've been up grinding, using Claude Code, AI, programming everything in the world. So, yeah, solving all the world's problems. You know, Claude had their whole source code leaked, and so everybody now can run their own wrappers and whatever it's called. Act like I know what I'm talking about, but people are forking repos and, you know, seeing the internal engines of how they. It's kind of funny when you get on X, you know, and like you start seeing, you click one thing that you're somewhat interested in, and then now your whole feed is dominated by this topic.
Yeah.
They've got to fix that.
Yeah.
It's like I've ruined my feed by just going for like one day down a rabbit trail, and now it's like, where's all my all my guys at?
Back, like, right after Christmas, like December 27th or 28th, Jack looks at me and he's like, dude, I can't use X anymore. I'm like, what are you talking about? Because we have the one for the store that we both manage. And he's like, dude, every time I'm in there, it's just Arc Raiders clips. And I was like, oh, my bad, bro. Okay, here we are.
Here we are, episode
12.
12.
That was a heck of a
Yes.
prologue.
So today
That's
a little
what
bit,
happens when Jack doesn't give us an agenda.
Yeah, I'm not ready.
there's a reason for
Yeah,
that.
he's got a reason.
You'll see when we get to Tinker Time. Tinker Time! Lasers!
Hey.
Pew, pew, pew.
Pew, pew, pew.
But today it's gonna be a shorter episode. There's not a whole lot going on in the news. I do want to touch.
Or is there?
Or is there? That's true. It
I
could
don't-
be.
Hold on. You got to put up the clip of the episode about 5 weeks ago where I said Perfect Order was going to crash the market.
Okay, so that's where we're starting.
Yes.
So we are circling back to Perfect Order. We're going to see where those values kind of ended up shaking out. And
See what
then,
GameStop did?
huh?
See what GameStop said this morning?
No.
They start charging MSRP on Pokemon again.
Oh, really?
Let's go. I
Nice.
love it. I love it.
It's a compound effect. I mean, it takes a while for people to understand the chain of thought of what my brain says. This is why it happens. I saw it,
Yeah.
but it's compound effect is there.
Yep.
Scalpers can't exist. People freak out, start liquidating their stuff. GameStop says we're going to start charging MSRP. GameStop is probably sitting on 70, 100, a million ETBs of Perfect Order, and they're saying, oh, crap.
Yeah.
Daily sales velocity sucks.
We can't sell these at
What am I
90.
going to do?
So we're going to circle back, see where Perfect Order kind of shook out. And then we're going to talk a little bit about digital pack opening
Okay.
and our thoughts on that and whether or not we think it's a good thing, a bad thing, or whatever we may think about it. And then we're going to do Tinker Time and wrap things up. So for starters, let's talk Perfect Order. We have our first gold card in the Mega Block under $200. Highest SIR is the Meowth,
Yep.
which Kraus pulled over the weekend, or his daughter pulled, so
Yeah.
congrats to Kraus. After that, everything just kind of fallen off, man. Every other SIR is fallen
So
sub 100.
if you were to go on TCG Player and you were to buy the gold and the Meowth, you're out $330-ish dollars, right? Which is like 1.5 booster boxes
Yep.
of Perfect Order. If you were to buy the gold Charizard and the SIR Charizard, you need to buy. That's like $1,200, $1,300. That's relatively 3.5 booster boxes
Right.
of Phantasmal. So there's some pricing trends that just the math doesn't math very well. It doesn't hit. And so back to your point from almost 2 months ago, this thing's breaking the current environment for what the pricing, how the pricing is like derived for Pokemon in the Mega Evolution block. So it doesn't make a lot of sense.
Yeah, well, and it's the bigger question about, for the overall collector economy, the importance of having chase cards that people want in
Yeah.
the set.
Yeah.
And how much is that the leading factor, right? How much is that the leading factor of the collectability of the set versus it's just Pokemon and they can print whatever they want, however they want?
Yeah.
The other thing too that I don't want to miss is that what was the set that came out after 151? Paradox Rift.
Paradox Rift.
Paradox Rift was a set that had 18 SI. I had a lot of SIRs, great artworks. I loved it. It just didn't get very good reception either. And I have a theory about this. Both Paradox Rift and Perfect Order is coming out after a major specialty set
Monster.
that people want to put their money in. So how much wallet share is actually available for people to buy Perfect Order? It is a true statement that the cards are not very good, and would the market price be better if the cards were just there? So I'm not, that probably, in my opinion, is the driving factor. But I'm just saying there's a separate factor, which is, dude, Ascended Heroes was awesome, and this product's still coming out, right? There's waves still coming. And if you're holding out for I want more Ascended Heroes, I'm going to pause on Perfect Order. The same thing happened with 151, with Paradox Rift. 151 came out, and then people were putting all their money there. They're not prioritizing money on Paradox Rift because they're still going after the better chases, the better arts. And so that might have a factor too.
I wasn't as in tune with Pokemon back in 151, but we've had this conversation sitting here before. We've had it before back in December, which is when the release schedule was shown. Perfect Order came out on March 27th. Full product, onslaught. You had booster bundles and 3-packs and single packs, ETBs, booster boxes, right? You had all of the products on March 20th. On March 20th, you got the second full release of Ascended Heroes product. You had 2 products that hit. One was a 5-pack product. The other was a 10-pack product, right? And so for 10 packs of Ascended Heroes, you could get that, or you could get an ETB of Perfect Order. The math wasn't exactly 1-to-1, but I think you're right. And then Pokemon did something else. Right. On the 20th, they also released that first partner illustration series 1 box, which had everybody going into a frenzy also for. And so there are a lot of people that set aside money to buy Pokemon. And on the 20th, when you see this opportunity to get the Kanto starters in a connecting illustration set, and it's a 1 in 3 shot from the little 3-card pack in there, and MSRP is $15.99 or whatever, and you go buy 3 or 4 of those to try to get all 9 of the starters. It was Gen 1, 4, and 7. Or you bought Perfect Order, the 10-pack, right, the poster collection. When the next week comes around, you weren't ready. You weren't ready to be able to go drop $200 on a booster box or whatever the case may be, right? And then if you just paused for a second and instead of just reacting, oh, Pokemon, I got to buy this. It's Pokemon, I got to buy it. And if you just took your drink of coffee and you looked at what the set has, you would have realized that, dude, am I going to spend $150 this week on trying to get connecting arts of starters that I have some level of affinity to? Or am I trying to go get a gold Mega Zygarde, right? That if you didn't play X and Y, and if you didn't play Legends EA, you don't even know who the dude is, right?
Yeah, no, that's a great point. I don't think a lot of people take that into consideration. Especially with the 10-pack poster collections being like 100 plus on the secondary market.
Yeah.
It's just like...
And not to take away, once again, Travis said it, I'm going to reaffirm it, which is the art in Ascended Heroes, the Pokemon in Ascended Heroes. You have it pulled up. I'm looking over your shoulder. You've got Gengar, Pikachu, Dragonite, Charizard, Mega Charizard Y, another Pikachu, a Mewtwo, Lily's Clefairy, Feraligatr, and Zoroark, right? Like you got all of these banger Pokemon. And then if you were to look at Perfect Order, once again, it's Clefairy.
Yeah.
It's
Starmie.
Mega. It's Mega Clefairy. It's Starmie, Meowth, Dedenne, Esper.
Yeah, they're definitely not as good. The one thing that kind of strikes me too, as we're talking about the collector, of the cards, we talked about this last week. Mega Charizard, even going up even higher in pricing, it's over $800. So that's the kind of a big surprise. But if I'm looking through and I'm looking at artworks, if you look at the Mega Evolution set, the top 2 cards are the gold cards.
Yeah.
That's the inverse correlation of what's happening with, Phantasmal Flames, Ascended Heroes. Gold cards are not the leaders, okay?
Yeah.
But if you look at the SIR artworks from a collectability standpoint, I think Mega Evolutions, the Gardevoir, the Lucario, the Mega Latios, Venusaur, they're great artworks. I love them. I think they're fantastic.
Yeah.
If I'm bargain hunting and I'm looking at what's going on right now, Mega Charizard, Phantasmal Flames. Jack harped on this. He called this 5 SIRs in the set.
Yeah.
Not a whole lot of variety. That card is going up. It's probably going up. It's a good artwork and it's a Charizard. But if I'm shopping value, you know, the Pikachu, for example, on Ascended, it's almost $800. It's the number 2 card. It's gone up above and beyond the Dragon Knight.
Yeah,
which
it
is
was
kind
like
of a swap.
$500 a week ago.
Right.
Yeah.
Why is the Lucario from Mega Evolutions only $150? Why is it that for the Pikachu SIR for Ascended, I could buy the Latios, Mega Venusaur, Lucario, and Gardevoir, the 4 top SIRs from Mega Evolution? Sick artworks, nothing wrong about those artworks, for cheaper than I can buy the single Pikachu.
So this correlates back to kind of what you touched on, is when I brought up that there was 5 SIRs in Phantasmal. So when you look at Ascended, you've got 22 SIRs. Yeah. Pulling the SIR that you want out of a pool of 22 of them is a lot harder than pulling the one you want out of a pool of 10. It's a Mega Evolution, right? Yeah. So I can kind of see the correlation there when it comes to just the difficulty of finding and pulling the one SIR that you actually want, which in this case we're talking about Pikachu, right? Mm-hmm. In comparison to a main series set that only has 5 to 10 SIRs. And
fair.
Another point to this, Ascended Heroes doesn't have any booster boxes. So going and grabbing a bunch of packs in bulk from your LCS by getting a 36-pack booster box isn't an option with Ascended Heroes like it is with Mega Evolution.
It is a fair statement to say that, hey, there's 28 SIRs in Ascended.
22.
22, I think.
22 SIRs in Ascended. Your odds of pulling one of these is going to be a lot smaller, so the price to get the card that you want is going to be more expensive. But then I guess this illustrates it perfectly. In fact, the Phantasmal Flames, the Charizard's $830 or so.
Yeah.
The next SIR is Dawn at $31.
Yeah.
So the huge drop, it's not that, you know, the other SIRs in Phantasmal Flames are dirt cheap. If you compare the other SIRs in Phantasmal Flames to the 4 Chase SIRs in Mega Evolution, you know, Latios is $73, all the way up to Gardevoir is $170. The price point on those are much better than the non-Charizard equivalent in Phantasmal.
Correct.
And so it just goes to show that Charizard is everybody's grail so far. Like a lot of people want that card.
If they don't get it, they don't care what they do with the rest of the cards.
Yeah.
Ascended.
I still think Mega Evolutions is too cheap.
Yeah. Ascended, you have half of the SIRs above $85, and you got the other half between $85 and $35. So you got a ton of room there from $1,000, $1,050 down to $85 for the top 11 SIRs out of Ascended.
Yeah, so, I mean, just to kind of move forward with this,
Yeah.
I mean, there's not a whole lot to touch on here. It kind of is, it is what it is, right? It's what we thought was going to happen. Perfect Order's kind of tanking. I expect Chaos Rising to do the same outside of Greninja. We did get some news over the weekend. We have a confirmation date for our English version of Abyssai on July 17th.
Okay.
There's no English name yet for the set, but it is looking like it's going to be a 1-to-1 with Abyssai, just like Chaos Rising and Ninja Spinner, Perfect Order, and Nile Zero. So this kind of goes back to what I was talking about last week with, man, it seems like they're gearing up for a 1-to-1 release moving forward.
When is Abyssai, you're saying the English set's supposed to come out?
July 17th.
And Chaos Rising's coming out when?
May 22nd. Abyssai in Japan.
We've got 2 sets coming out in the next 3 months.
Yeah. Abyssai in Japan drops on May 22nd.
It's good to be a card shop.
So it looks like they're moving to a 1-to-1 moving forward, and it's gearing up for that simultaneous release internationally. That, or they're just going to do 1-to-1 moving forward just to be able to. So the reason this is interesting to me is what it does for Pokemon in the sets is it makes the sets smaller in general overall on the English side, which means you're going to go back to having 5 to 6 SIRs per set, just like we had in Phantasmal, Perfect Order, Chaos Rising. So what are your guys' thoughts on that?
As long as you can have, Phantasmal frustrates me so much from the sake that I just said it, which is if you don't get the SIR, Charizard, it's a waste. You didn't win. Whereas I don't feel like that's a good way, for me, at least for opening, Pokemon. Like, I just want to open packs and I want to have, I don't need 22 SIRs, right? But I would like the opportunity to have great hits. SV1 is a good example, just for the sake of, if you got the Gardevoir, that's great. If you got the Arven, that's great. If you got the Iono, it's great, right? You got a couple different options there.
Yeah, so like if you miss, you still want to hit, right?
Yeah.
You still want to feel good about, oh, I didn't
Yeah.
get the Charizard, but at least I got this, you know?
Right. And the way that Phantasmal is working currently is if, like, from obviously what the market is doing, if you don't hit the Charizard, you miss. And so that's a thing. So
What's also frustrating about that is when you have a single card that's reaching like $800, it drives up the price of the sealed product.
yeah.
So then when you don't get the Charizard and you miss it, feels even worse because you just spent more money, right?
Yeah.
Because of the Charizard chase, but then you end up with like a $20 Mega Sharpedo.
You know, when you look at SV 4 and 5, Paradox and Temporal, if you were to just look at the SIRs, do you have an idea of what the most expensive SIR is out of those two sets, Trav?
What Ascended and what?
No. Paradox and Temporal, the two that came after.
Paradox, I think, would be the Altaria.
Okay.
Or
SIR?
Yeah.
if it's outside of the Altaria.
So Paradox and Temporal.
Temp is going to be the Iron Crown.
Yeah. So no, Raging Bolt is the most expensive SIR at 62. Morty's at 59. Altaria at 48. And then the Iron Crown is 34. Iron Leaves is 20. Like some great arts
Yeah.
are sub $50, right? For two sets that may be very equivalent to this Zygarde set and then the Greninja set and then maybe the Darkrai set. Because if those are the Pokemon to carry them, like Twilight Masquerade got carried by Greninja for a while, still a great set. I still feel it's slept on, but having, you know, $50 to $60 SIRs in a set is going to allow there to be a lot of it out there because people aren't gonna, the margins for a scalper are not there to go buy a pack at $5.99 plus tax, $5.50, right? And then sell it for $7. Like when you can only get 2 or 5, you're not in a position to be able to have scale there unless you're running a really big operation.
But here's like the other side of that coin and why that's strange to me is Temporal Forces and Paradox Rift are huge sets. They make up 3 sets in Paradox
Yeah.
from Japan and
Yeah.
I think 2 sets from Japan make up Temporal Forces.
Yep.
So you've got a higher amount of SIRs, just like Ascended Heroes, right?
Yeah.
But the SIRs are averaged like $20 a pop, right, in value. And the artworks are insane. And dude, that Roaring Moon, you know how hard it is to pull that Roaring
Yeah.
Moon because of the pool of cards that you
35
have to
bucks.
pull from?
Yeah.
And it's $30 card.
What's interesting about Temp Forces and Paradox Rift, the number 1 card are IRs. So in
Yeah.
Temp Forces, it's the Ghastly.
Yeah.
Awesome artwork. And then Paradox Rift, it's
Is
the
the Groudon.
Groudon.
Yeah, you nailed
Really
it there.
strange.
Yeah.
All right, cool. So let's move on. We have something I want to discuss with you guys and get your thoughts on digital pack opening. I've seen more and more of this popping up across sponsorships on YouTube and stuff of like ad generated, whatever. But I'm curious about your thoughts on the idea of someone going online, spinning a wheel, and you get whatever hit you get, and then they send you that card in real life once you hit it.
Well, I mean, that's part of it. Or you trade it back at a
Or trade it back and get
80% or whatever.
credit or whatever,
90%,
yeah.
whatever.
Yep.
Yeah, I think it's something that, like most things when they go from analog to digital, that if you don't have all the if you don't have to put in all of the capital to make the packs, and every day there's a report that's ran that says, hey, we need to send out a PSA 9 of this or this, and if you have enough lag time in between when someone requests it versus when it gets delivered, you can actually go source that and drop ship it.
Yeah.
I from a business standpoint, I stinking love it. I think it's
Yeah.
fantastic because you have all of this, you know, influx of revenue. And then if people keep trying to hit the big one and yeah, maybe they hit it on their first try or maybe they hit it on their 30th try, it doesn't matter. You just go source that card at current market. And if you priced it right and you played the game right on the business side, you can generate pretty good net income that way by being able to, for lack of a better term, drop ship that. The challenge comes into with your supply chain. So you'd have to like shore up your supply chain and make sure that whatever you're offering in the digital packs, you have 2 or 3 on hand to be able to run at scale.
So the reason I wanted to talk about this, I did a little bit of research over the weekend. So I got kind of bored. I was looking around at some of this stuff. It's like, I'm going to go check it out and see what it's all about. I did some research. So I took $100 and I went into one of these sites and I'm not going to say the site because we're not sponsored by any of these sites. This is just something we're just spitballing about. But I spun the wheel, and I hit a $350 card in there, right? So sweet, I win, right? So I go to cash out and order my card, have it sent to me. And a little exclamation mark comes up, and it says temporarily unavailable. You can either wait for us to get this card, or you can sell this card back to us and spin again.
Yeah.
And I'm like, I'm not going to wait around. It was like a 3D looking Mewtwo from XY or something that I didn't really care about. So I sold it back to him, right? So then I got 3 more spins on the $100 pack. So I spun 3 times. I hit a $90 card, I hit an $80 card, and I hit a $258 card.
Okay.
Now, here's the other side of this coin. I went and cross-checked these values to see if they're accurate with what TCG Player says. The $90 card was actually an $80 card.
Okay.
The $80 card was actually a $70 card.
Okay.
The $250 card was actually a $150 card.
Okay.
So that one was like $100 off.
Yeah.
So I don't know where they pull their values
Yeah.
from, but I just found it interesting because you could hit a $100 card that they value at $300 and sell it back to them to get $300 worth of pack ripping for more degeneracy, right?
Yeah.
But I thought it was strange and kind of interesting. I stopped after that. I sent me the cards or whatever. I haven't got them. I'm just waiting to see what happens with that. Hopefully
Yeah.
it's all legit and
Yeah.
they show up. But I did think it was interesting that you can sit there and you can spend $100 on one of these digital mystery packs that have hits from like the XY era on, and you're guaranteed at least a $40 card.
Yeah.
If I took $100 and I bought 10 Ascended Heroes packs,
Correct.
there's like a 90% chance I'm not pulling a
Correct.
$40 card out of there or
Yep.
higher,
So
right?
it's better than buying.
It's interesting.
It's better than buying Once again, if you spent $400 or $100 on, I don't know, 4 $25 packs from the mid era, or like Crimson Invasion or Burning Shadows or something like that,
Mm-hmm.
yeah, you are almost 100 to 1 odds that you're going to actually pull something worth more than the $100, right? Like your odds are so low. So guaranteeing a $40 card is a good way to outpace the demand for Pokemon. The demand for Pokemon is so high.
It's one of the things, though, those big spin the wheel and card repacks, those are the leading things that create buyouts, though, as well. Because at scale, those companies have to go and replenish all those cards.
Yeah.
And so
that's why I wanted your thoughts on
it's
it.
It's good for me as a collector knowing that there's listing pressure or purchasing pressure when these big companies come in and they buy these cards so that they can replenish and restock and create these packs.
Yeah.
So having that environment is a way to keep single pack or single card prices high. If that didn't exist, the prices would be lower naturally across the board, which would be one of the reasons where we're just saying, hey, for example, why Perfect Order might not be selling well is that it doesn't have a chase card. Well, a chase card is derived by what? Artwork or value? It's value, right? People, it's a perceived value. So when there's these massive buyouts that happen because these brands exist, it's good holistically for collectors and investors, not good for hobbyists. There's a difference. If you're a hobbyist, you don't want it because it creates the preconditions for the market price to go up. So I like it for that reason. I despise it for the reason that happened to you. The market pricing wasn't right.
Right.
Also, who's the arbiter of truth on the market pricing relative to the condition? It's a $90 card because it's light played or near mint, but you get it, and you haven't tested this yet. But let's assume that you get the card. Now there's this whole condition thing into account.
So they had every card listed as near mint condition.
Okay.
They had condition, and they also
that's what
had.
they say.
Yeah, well, that's what they say,
Well,
exactly.
You need they've already. So for me, strike number one is you sold me a pack for a card that had contents of what you didn't even own. Shouldn't even be allowed. If it is allowed, you should automatically be able to give me the price in dollars back.
Mm-hmm.
Don't make me wait for the card. Give me the money so I can go buy that card or have that money back. They gave you the money back for free spins, but that keeps the money in their ecosystem.
Right,
And if
exactly.
they're going to have a 30-40% margin on that main model anyways, they're not actually giving you the money. They're giving you whatever their margin is less.
I thought
on
the same
spin.
thing. Yeah.
So that's a win. Oh, conveniently, we don't have it. Let's keep the money
They still keep you
in-house.
in their pocket,
So
right?
that's I despise it for that reason. I also despise it for the reason that the cards that you said weren't actually the prices that they are. The downstream effects would be like once you get the cards and the condition are right, that's kind of the third strike.
Right.
The other thing is I'm curious to see There is NFT collections that you can have a collection where all of the hits are on the blockchain, so there's no faking the odds of you pulling the cards. With this, I don't know how it works. My brain would say, hey, how likely is it that if they do a pack game or spin the wheel, are the actual chase hits in there? And how do I validate that the hits are still remaining?
Right.
And so when it's on the blockchain and there's an NFT and they create the collection, there's no faking it.
Yeah.
And so if this is not like an NFT collection where they kind of seed it as like, hey, we're going to sell 300 of these and we're going to reveal what they are.
Yeah, so I was interested in the entire world of it and just wanted to see how it all worked. I was kind of in that boat with you.
Yeah.
They were pretty transparent. They have demo spins, so you can spin like a demo spin to see. And when you do that, I hit the lowest card 4 times in a row. It wasn't like they were like, oh, look, you got that $700 card 3 times in a row. You'll nail it when you pay us. It wasn't like that. They also had like rates on there. It was like 0.10%, 0.025% for this card, whatever. So, I mean, there was some transparency there. It wasn't – it was fun, but I was just curious about how the whole thing worked because I'd seen it so much.
At the end of the day, from a psychology standpoint, is it any different than you paying $120 for an Ascended ETB?
Yes.
Why so?
Because you're guaranteed to walk away with something, I feel like. And again, I just tested this. I've only done it once.
Yeah.
But I still got the same dopamine I did ripping packs.
Yeah.
And when at the end of the day, I'd spend $100, I knew I was walking away with a $40 card or higher.
I mean, I would venture to say because of the structure of, we all know buying single packs are not going to return the same value per dollar spent as buying singles. So your return on investment buying a spinning game with all the problems that I described that are out there, you're probably on average are going to retain a larger percentage of your initial dollars invested. So if you put $100 in a spin, you're guaranteed to get a $4 card back. In your case, you got 80, 90. So you recovered on average 85% of your dollars.
Yeah.
That doesn't happen usually buying an ETB.
I
Right.
was just going to
And
say,
so-
Exactly.
for every $100 purchase that you make, you're probably a 1 in 6 or 1 in 5 chance of actually getting back to the 40%.
Right. So I'm just saying structurally I'm going to put dollars in to get something in return to grow my collection. You're probably better off doing what Jack did, using those games, because on average you're going to receive the dollar value back more so than what you would just buying packs. But with the packs, I mean, hey, it's Pokemon, they're going to seed the packs. My giant reservations of are there spins even in there?
Yeah.
They're selling me cards that I don't have. I have to debate condition. That whole honesty and integrity thing is kind of tough for
Yeah.
me. That I trust Pokemon more than
Yes.
I trust the others.
Yeah.
And when I buy sealed product, I get to decide what set I'm buying versus it's just kind of
So you get the same here. They had variety packs. Here's the weird part. It was like they had Ascended packs. You could buy Ascended packs for $8, and you're guaranteed an illustration rare or higher. The cheapest thing you get is like a $2 Heliolisk illustration rare.
yeah.
But you buy them for $8 a pack, and you get an illustration rare no matter what or higher.
Yeah.
And they had it for Phantasmal. They had it for 151. They had it for Prismatic, and the prices
Do
were
you
all
just
different.
get one card, or you get
You get one card, so it's
Yeah.
like if you don't want the bulk and stuff, you're only getting the one card that you pulled from the pack. You get the one hit.
Yeah.
Yeah, it was just really interesting. And then they had like Charizard packs where it's all only Charizards. Those were like $450 a pack.
Yeah.
But your biggest hit you get was a Shadowless base set Charizard.
Yeah, it's interesting. If somebody's not ripping Pokemon from Pokemon International, this product doesn't exist, right? So it can't replace packs. So as long as people are opening the product, right, it's a byproduct of that. But it's almost better odds.
Run out
Tinker
of time.
time.
So let's move on. Tinker time.
Tinker
No,
time.
I want to keep talking about
No,
this. idea.
no, we'll talk about that later. All right. So Tinker Time. This week on Tinker Time, I have an experiment I want to do with you guys.
Yeah, where's your switchboard? I mean, look.
Yeah,
Jack's got
I've
this
got.
whole setup.
I need an extended desk for this.
You need one of those Walmart shelves that you pull out. My kids discovered that at the store
Yeah,
this weekend.
I do.
They were with me at Hy-Vee, and
Oh, where you press and you can sign a check on it or whatever?
yeah, it's like right in front of the checkout. There's like a little slot. Nobody sees it, and they're kind of down there, kind of
Stop
more eye
derailing
level.
me.
What time is it?
It's ticker time. Lasers. Okay. All right. Yes, you're right. We do need that. Okay. All right. So, anyways, my experiment for this week is blind ranking. So I had a question for Kraus earlier this week. I said, listen, do you think if they made an Eveltal SIR in perfect order, it could carry the set to make it a big enough chase that people would want to get after it? He said no. I said, okay, fair enough, you know. So
Well,
I'm
it would
going,
help. They need to do something.
yeah. So the way this works, it's a blind ranking.
Okay.
I'm going to list Pokemon, and you're going to rank them
Yeah.
1 through 8,
Okay.
but you can't use the same slot twice.
Right.
Right? So you're not going to know what the rest of the Pokemon
We have a
are.
different 8, or are we doing it together?
It's just one set of 8.
Yeah.
I'm going to list. And
Right,
then
but
you
we
guys-
each give you a number.
Yeah.
Okay.
What you're ranking is, where would this Pokemon fall on a ranking of 1 to 8 to
In-
carry a set?
Yeah, SIR wise, like value.
if they did an
And
SIR.
assuming all the best, right? Like
Right.
they don't screw up the artwork or they
Right.
didn't do some realist. Yeah, I got
Now
it.
the thing is if you rank one as like 6,
You can't do
you
another
can't use 6 again.
Yeah.
The next one, any of them come have to be 1 through 8 or whatever. That's not
But
6.
I can't change my mind.
You can't change your mind.
Yep.
I'm ready.
All right, the first one is Tyranitar. Where would an SIR Tyranitar
Do I tell you now or hold off?
rank in 1 to 8? You can tell me now, as long as you keep track.
4.
So it'd be 4, ranked 4th and 8 to carry a set. It'd be the fourth most card you're interested to carry
Because
a set.
I don't know what 8
You don't know the rest, right?
Yeah, this is
But
it's a solid.
If you saw a set come up and it said Tyranitar on the box and it was like, this is the chase, you would rank it as a 4 in this list of 8.
I'm at 2.
You're at 2?
Yeah.
Okay. All right,
second,
next.
Second best.
I gotta razz him when we're done.
Okay.
Yeah.
Next is Mimikyu.
8.
Paldean Fates, Mimikyu, cover
7.
the ETB. 7 and 8. Okay. And then we've got Sizor.
8.
3.
3. Really? Okay. Gyarados.
5.
1.
1. You're just going to take your 1 slot.
I am.
Okay. Darkrai.
7.
6. I got 1, 2, and 3 left, Jack. They better be some big boys coming up.
Snorlax.
4.
I'll do 3.
Lugia.
1.
5.
And this one's kind of a curveball. You're going to be mad at me. Legendary Beast Trio Tag Team.
6. That's all I got left.
I had 2 left.
All right, go through your list, boys.
So number 1 is Gyarados. Number 2 is Tyranitar. 3 is Scizor, Snorlax, Lugia, Legendary Trio, Dogs, Darkrai, and then Mimikyu.
So I don't know who it was. I got 4, 7, 8, 5, 6, 3, 1, 2.
You can match them up.
So you'd have to match them up.
Yep, I'll match them up those.
But here's the deal. I got to razz Josh because Tyranitar, as you put number 2.
Yeah.
Well, Tyranitar was the leading chase in Battle Styles, and Battle Styles is arguably the 3rd worst set in Sword and Shield.
Yeah.
So it really didn't help there. And Snorlax, you have at what number?
I have Snorlax at 4.
Okay, Snorlax was in
Sword
Sword
and
and Shield base, and it had a rainbow and but it was one of the best, most expensive gold cards from Chilling Reign.
It wasn't an SIR either.
What's that? Snorlax.
Snorlax.
It was
Yeah,
an
well they didn't
alt art.
have
And the
illust-
Rainbow Rare.
Yeah, they didn't have alt arts. Battle Styles
Yeah.
is the first alt art set,
Right.
and it had Tyranitar, which is the chase of the set. But Tyranitar wasn't good enough to really elevate that set above the rest. But Battle Styles came out during a period where the hobby was. It was probably the 3rd set prior to the hobby getting going again.
Yep.
Okay, so
And
here's
so it's kind of was. If that set came out today, it would be a good set.
Yeah.
here's the part 2 of this. Now that you know what they are,
Yeah.
you can
How would I
adjust your
rank
rankings and tell me your rankings on what you would have them as. Now that you know what they are. So like where with Legendary Beast Trio Tag Team, I'm assuming that would be like 1 or 2 for you guys.
Number
right?
1.
Yeah.
Hold on, I'm redoing it. Mimikyu stays at number 8.
So yeah, Mimikyu, Sizor. I think you had Sizor at 3, Kraus.
I
That
did.
surprised me.
I did. Because of he's a Gen 2, Gen 3.
Gen 2.
Gen 2. Right up there with Lugia. There are as many people that played Gen 2 that use that Pokemon right, that have a following to them as the. I mean, you picked a ton of Gen 2 Pokemon.
Tyranitar and Scizor.
And the dogs.
And Lugia. And the dogs, yeah, you're right.
Yeah, half of them are
Half
Gen
are
2,
Gen 2, yeah.
right? And so there are as many people that like that. And so as I'm finishing here,
Where would you guys put a Snorlax SIR in terms of carrying a set? Do you think that would have the weight to carry a set?
no, I have it low. So I go dogs, then Lugia, just based on Silver Tempest, right? Like
Yeah.
based on recency. And then I've got Gyarados because Gyarados hasn't carried anything ever, right? Since like XY. Hasn't been in the position to do that. The Shining Gyarados first edition is still a $1,200 card, right? Tyranitar, Darkrai, Skizzer, then Snorlax, then Mimikyu.
You know, it's Gyarados' time. It needs an SIR. Never had an Altar. Doesn't have an SIR. Neither does Arcanine. Arcanine's my boy.
Yep.
He needs to get one. Those two from Gen 1, between 151 coming out and all the other sets that have came out, why are those two being slept on? Like Beedrill got some love with the Altar. You know, you've got a lot of
Beedrill and Astral Radiance even got an Altar?
yeah. Where's the Gyarados?
I've said this before. Gyarados is not anywhere close to my top 10 of favorite Pokemon. But Gyarados is as iconic as almost anything inside of Pokemon.
But Magikarp gets a lot of love.
Magikarp gets a lot of love.
So, I mean, do a tag team. Put in the Gyarados. You've got Gyarados, but you also have Magikarp, so it's actual like a dual artwork card. You know, in the ocean right there, have the Magikarp jumping out with the big Gyarados back in the background.
Well, we
showing
are-
his
Or
laser
just really,
beam.
really piss me off as a collector, but make me love it as an art guy. Give me two SIRs. Give me a Magikarp, which it won't because it's got to be an EX, right? But give me a Magikarp and a Gyarados that connect.
Yeah. Well, we are in the
the-
Mega Block, so I'd be really surprised if we don't get a Mega Gyarados SIR.
Dude, I
before
told you the other day, a Mega Tyranitar would be dope.
Yeah.
Because he's got that
Godzilla
armor, and I mean, he's all thicked up.
Yeah. I mean, this is why I'm just waiting for Pokemon to say, hey, you know what? After Perfect Order, we screwed up. We put some bad artworks.
Let's put together a council.
Who are the decision makers? They need like a fellowship of the art. You know what I mean?
Yeah,
Like,
yeah.
Well, it's, they don't
like,
know,
hey,
right?
guys.
Because they print 9 months in advance.
No,
So
there's
it's
no
like,
excuse. There's no excuse.
yes, they should know
I mean,
better.
what we just said, you guys haven't given us an Arcanine. You haven't given us a Gyarados. You know, like that. We came up with that with 5 seconds on the spot, and they're coming up with these. Like, it's inexcusable to me. I just get so angry. How do you have 22 SIRs in Ascended, and then you have 5 or whatever in Perfect? But then what you put in ends up being what it is. How much harder would it be to just reveal a couple other really good cards that are crowd pleasers? I talked about this 3-4 episodes ago. It's the one thing that I think they're missing on. They don't miss on much, we keep saying. They're missing on this.
So, and it's not like they don't know, right? Like, you know this running a business. If you do something and you see something great happen from it, and then you're able to replicate it again, now all of a sudden you don't have a one-off. You've got a repeatable process, right?
Yeah.
So, Evolving Skies and Prismatic, what do they have in common? They're all
Evolutions.
evolutions, right?
Yeah,
And
people love those.
people love them, right?
Yeah.
So you pull an Umbreon just about in anything, you're probably doing okay, right? So
Yeah.
they know that there are Pokemon that are going to Charizard, Gardevoir.
Well, they're not opposed to putting the same character in multiple sets. Every
Correct.
3 sets, there's a Charizard.
There are 8
So-
playable Charcadex in the block that hasn't rotated yet. Charcadet, you probably
Well,
don't even know who that is.
Gardevoir has had, I mean, how many better artworks? Scarlet and Violet, Paldean Fates, and now
Well, they
Mega.
love Gardevoir.
And so Gardevoir's had 3
I think
in the
Gardevoir
last
is
16 sets.
like
Not
maybe
only do
the
they make
president.
Gardevoir SIRs, they make them playable as hell.
I
every
think
time.
it's like the COO's daughter loves Gardevoir,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah.
So just make sure.
But it illustrates my point. It's not, you're not afraid to put the same artwork in multiple times.
Yeah.
I mean, that's been proven. So you don't have any sort of internal process that says, well, we've done this card recently,
Yeah.
so we're not going to do it again.
Correct.
That's not a true statement because you do them again.
Yeah.
But then you have this, like, there should be an AI tool that's a signal. Hey guys, it's been you've created 3,000 new cards into the economy without this card having a double rare or higher.
Right.
Somebody, you need to balance. It's load balancing.
Yep.
You need to fix this. This card is a top 50 card of all collectible cards, and we have metrics, right? You have data. You've got sales velocity places. You've got the average price of the card. You've got data that will say, how do I correlate collectability of a character to the perceived value?
Yeah.
Just There's 1,000 ways to do a formula. Make a formula and have it spit out, oh, you know what? This card actually has been missed. We should actually, hey guys, I just want to tell you that we haven't had an Arcanine SIR ever or an Altart ever, and might it be time to put this in instead of the third Gardevoir over the last 18 months?
Yeah. No, I'm with
The
you.
data's there. They know what they can do with it. And there's not a lot of rhyme or reason that you're missing some two or three favorites, right?
Yeah.
That's all we need.
All right. Good episode.
Cool.
Wrap it up.
Appreciate you guys.
Pokemon, give me a call. We'll help you out.
Yeah.
We got you.
Yeah.
We got you.
1-800-MINTY-GEM.
Yes.
Catch you guys next week.
See you guys.